Am I the asshole for giving my mother-in-law a fake copy of my house key and exposing her on Christmas dinner? I want to preface this by saying that I F34 married my husband M37 a year ago. His mom is Snoopy and annoying AF. She can't help it, that is just how she is, as my dear-in-laws say. My husband and I purchased a new house recently. My mother-in-law kept pushing to get an emergency key. She promised that she only use it in an emergency, but giving the fact that she had an emergency key to our old apartment and walked in on us being intimate twice. But my husband didn't think it was big deal. I just couldn't trust her, so I just sent her a fake key, after she kept pushing, and she had a smug on her face after a hand delivered it to her. Days gone by, and on Christmas dinner mother-in-law angrily called me out on the fact I gave her a fake copy of the house key. She shamed me for doing this in front of everyone, but in my defensive I asked her how she found out, and she said days ago when she came over at 4 while my husband and were out. I reminded her, didn't you promise you wouldn't use it unless there's an emergency? So you tried to get in when there was no emergency and you broke the promise you made to us. She looked red in the face and the other family started staring, and some even laughed at her for the face she made. She suddenly got up from her seat and rushed into the kitchen, where she had a huge meltdown so loud the next door neighbors must have heard. Literally, I've never heard a 60-plus-year-old woman throw a tantrum like that. Needless to say, dinner went awkward and my husband and his sister were giving me looks. My husband went off on me in the car and said I lied and manipulated and humiliated and exposed his mom, and said he wouldn't have let me get away with it had he known. We had an argument and he is demanding I apologize to his mom for my childish behavior and for ruining Christmas dinner for the whole family. Am I the asshole? AITA. So this went off unexpectedly and I thought I'd show my husband some pretty helpful comments I found here minutes ago, but he got mad at me when he saw it and said I was nuts to talk about his family online. He demanded my phone so he could delete it, but I refused and I went upstairs and into the bedroom. I never seen him so agitated and I didn't think he'd react like that, honestly. But thank you guys for your support. It really means so much. I'll update if I can. Thanks again, smile. Not the asshole. I'd rethink my marriage if my husband put his mother over me. Edit, spelling. Yeah, this needs to be dealt with before they have kids, because it will only get more and more out of hand and you don't want her having meltdowns in front of the kids. Can you imagine mother-in-law taking kids without permission though? Having a fucking tantrum in front of everyone, kids included, when being called out. Yuck. She could demand to be put on the list at school, to pick them up and whatnot, and just pull them out randomly. Can you imagine how fucked that would be? Or she could just full on abduct them then lie about it, which given her conduct, I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't put far past her. Just scary thought all around. Being on a list or not. She seems to feel she has a right to everything she wants and will even lie to get it, then feel entitled in her efforts and significant other right that she'll think if she calls others out in front of others she'll be in the social right. Just wild. The list is people the school will allow to take the kids. It exists specifically to keep the kids from being abducted, family or not. It is unfortunately common for family members to try to take off with the kids. Her husband sounds like a pushover and would put Mill on the list just to make his mom happy, even if it means going behind OP's back. I think OP needs a divorce. The fact he also wanted to take her phone away from her to delete the post was sending alarms, not to mention he though me ls tantrum and her walking in on them being intimate is normal. This normal is not a normal you want to bring kids up around. Not to mention I bet OP's husband will give his mom the actual key now and Mill is going to be vengeful and snoop X1000 to get dirt to embarrass OP with. OP needs to put up cameras somehow and catch her in the act, not only to shame her / if prude but also to make sure there is proof if she stole anything. But to be honest, ye should be temporary because I think a divorce is the best course of action since it's obvious it's Mill and husband versus OP. The husband won't let cameras be involved, and if the police were ever called on his dear mother, he would file for divorce in a New York minute. He prioritizes appeasing the crazy as opposed to supporting his wife. Deal breaker for me. But I am not OP, so OP, are you comfortable playing second fiddle to his irrational, intrusive mom? Because staying with him, barring any real change on his part, this will be your life. You would be nuts to give her permission to have the kids alone. She obviously has no respect for your rules or what you say, so she would no problems with taking them places you may not want them going or giving them things you don't want them to have. Exactly. Husband is mad at OP for giving mom a fake key, but doesn't mind that mom tried to get into their new home for no reason, other than to snoop around or steal something. Husband is mad OP made his mom mad. He's spent his whole life tiptoeing around his mother and his wife is blowing up his world. He's got a big choice to make in the next 36 hours. OP, absolutely this. He's not respecting you and your marriage and home. But I guess for some people, family is family and they can do anything they want, right? Talk about toxic. After her edit, I'd definitely back out of this marriage. Demanding her phone like a petulant, power-hungry moron. I hope her husband reads this. Hey, OP's husband, if you are reading this, just know that we know that you are a mama's boy and you do not deserve OP edit, typo. The fact that he is angry she's exposing his family on the internet, as if anyone could guess their identity from this description, also shows that he at least realizes he and mommy are in the wrong, even if he won't acknowledge it. Otherwise he wouldn't care she posted here. Or he'd expect to be validated. I hope OP reads this. Like mother, like son. Agreed. Also, why is your husband mad at you? He should question his mother as to why she feels entitled to enter a grown man's home whenever she feels like it. There are some weird codependency things going on there. He didn't mind it when she walked on them being intimate. So yeah, some very weird things going on. Yes. I came here to say this. He didn't think it was a big deal? Time to find out how he was raised and how many other times his mother has walked in on him. Vomiting face. Did he ever break his arms? I just repressed that. This may have been the weirdest part of this story for me. She read Love You Forever by Robert Munsch one too many times. That book is creepy, imho. And the pictures are even creepier. Someone gave it to my son as a baby and I knocked that shite straight to the donation pile. I've seen that book, but never read or nor did anyone get it for my family when we were kids, so I had no idea what it was about. I just looked it up and saw this on the wiki. I also saw this further down. Maybe OP needs to send a copy of this version to her husband and mother-in-law, haha, if anyone is actually interested. It's a free download on Topher Payne's site. I read it and it's hilarious. The son installs security bars in his window, so his mom can't sneak in. I told my husband I would throw it away if anyone got our son that book. It used to make me cry as a kid, and not because it was heartwarming. The thought of my mother sneaking into my house when I grew up was horrifying to me. Yeah, I remember reading that once as a little kid and I thought it was creepy even then. Aw man, neither my husband or I could read that book without sobbing. And the kids used to demand it all the time cause they thought it was hilarious that we were crying. I didn't think it was creepy personally, but it was devastatingly sad. That's because it actually started as a song in memory of their two stillborn babies. His mother entering it was a red flag in their old apartment and hubby didn't seem too exercised about it then, either. If my mother-in-law walked in on my and my hubby getting freaky twice, he and I would have words way before it got to the point of her asking to get a key to a new place. I bet he's already given her a key himself. OP needs a spy cam now. Basic respect. The fact the husband is trying to defend this behavior should be eye-opening for OP. This whole dynamic is so unhealthy. Why on earth would he be okay to have his mom twice walk in on them having sex? He is utterly clueless to the fact that this is OP's home, not his mother's. I bet mother-in-law must be happy with her mama's boy. Raised him well to take mama over his own wife. Allows mommy to walk all over his home and marriage. Yuck. He actually has the gall to say that OP lied, manipulated and humiliated mother-in-law? When mother-in-law was the who lied and manipulated, and ended up humiliating herself as a result. Technically he's right. OP did lie and manipulate his mom. But OP isn't the only one who lied. Technically OP only lied but did not manipulate. But her lie was definitely smaller, because if mother-in-law had stick to her promise there would have been no harm. I would call it testing. She tested mother-in-law. Mother-in-law failed. This is a test of the emergency house key system. If this had been an actual emergency, your key would have worked. Did you see that update? Concerning AF. Not the asshole, but it really doesn't even matter because your husband is clearly a bigger problem than your mother-in-law, and that is saying a lot. Yep, yes to everything. To OP's husband, Reddit is anonymous. We have no idea who your wife or family is. No idea if you are in the US, or where in the world you are. Calm down and address your mother's boundary stomping. Have your wife's back. It's hard to be shown just how crappy your mother's behavior was, but that is where your anger should be, not your wife. The husband is a bigger problem because of his mother. It's what he grew up with. And I agree, it's definitely concerning AF. Not the asshole. Check the resources in the sidebar of r/justknowmother-in-law and get your husband some targeted therapy around getting him out of the fog, fear, obligation, guilt. ETA, YIOKES, saw your update. Your mother-in-law is not your biggest problem. You have a husband problem. You've now been made aware that your husband has his dysfunctional mother's back and not yours. She can act as crazy as she wants to, and guess what? It's okay with him. You're to go along with it and accept it, or else. I'm sorry for you that you didn't figure this out before you married into this shit show. Not the asshole. And how can the husband not see OP's absolute brilliance for this? Not the asshole. Seriously. Rethink this whole marriage if he isn't willing to side with you and recognize how much of a boundary issue this is, OP, or do some serious counseling with your husband. He is taking mom's side over his wife's, and that's a no-go. Especially when she is the one who brought this up at Christmas dinner to try and shame you. She promised she would only use in an emergency and was found out. Too bad, so sad. Time for your husband to take stock of his marriage and figure out where his loyalties lie. At this point they don't seem to be with you. Not the asshole. And the added edit didn't do anything to improve matters. If anything, I'd say it makes it worse. OP should devote some serious thought to whether she wants to be stuck with dude and his monster, sorry, mother, for the long haul. As a man, I agree with this. What in all hell? Not the asshole. Not the asshole, but your husband seems to have no problem of you being humiliated and shamed in front of people. He seems to have no regards to your need of privacy and dignity. Yeah, he seems to be completely ignoring the fact that his mother was trying to humiliate OP in front of everyone first. Honestly, his mother wouldn't even have been exposed in front of the family at Christmas if his mother had brought up the issue with the key to OP privately and not at dinner. Plus the mill had walked in on them having sex, but husband didn't have a problem with it. Yikes. Can you imagine? Ew. I don't normally approve of kink shaming people, but all parties must consent. Sounds like OP did not, so yeah, EU is correct. I'm probably the most liberal guy I know, but I think I have to draw the line at inviting your mom to watch you and your partner doing it. Consent or otherwise, something is wrong there. In the timeline where OP's husband doesn't listen and give mother-in-law a real key, OP should stop whenever things get intimate to let her husband know she's worried about mother-in-law walking in on them. The only way to solve the issue? Either no sex or make sure mother-in-law gets called and told not to come over unannounced since they're about to have sex. Every single time. Of all the F up things in this post, this takes the cake for me. OP, your biggest issue here is your husband. He is waving a lot of red flags around. Also, exposing your mother-in-law was a damn queen move. That it happened on Christmas was her own bloody doing. You have nothing to apologize for to anyone. NOTHING. Oh, hi mom. Continues thrusting. Insert gif of Homelander drinking milk. Why isn't this upvoted more? The fact that the mother exposed herself while trying to embarrass his wife is not an issue for him. There is no amount of counseling will fix a man who doesn't think he has a problem. Get out now before you waste any more time or tie yourself to him with kids. I was coming to say this. Not the asshole, your mother-in-law sucks, but your husband is the real problem here. Time to set some boundaries with him, and if he wants to live with mommy so she can always get in his bedroom, then so be it. Makes me wonder how often she walked in on him with people that he has no shame. Mother-in-law and husband both suck for sure. Definitely a mama's boy. Absolutely. The husband is sacrificing his spouse's reasonable right to privacy and security in her own home on the altar of his mother's giant ego. First, this whole she can't help being intrusive narrative is nonsense. One has to make a conscious effort to show up to someone else's home unannounced and enter without an invitation repeatedly. Second, the husband has to have several screws loose to think that spousal intimacy is a family spectator sport. Third, the mother is creepy as hell for continuing to show up unannounced despite walking in on her adult son and his wife repeatedly. Does she have any pointers to add to his game, too? Fourth, if this is someone who has zero reservations regarding intruding on their intimate moments, something tells me that snooping through their personal belongings is not above possibility. Otherwise, why was she there? OP, tell your husband as such, While he might think it hunky-dory that his mother walked in on your intimacy, you found it an egregious invasion of your privacy, and following this situation, you tested his mother to see whether she would respect your boundaries, since he doesn't have any. She lied, and she failed. He needs to establish boundaries now before this woman is demanding that you give birth with her in the room and he stands silently by as you defend your right to basic autonomy. And she will. Not the asshole, OP. All that means is that nobody ever gave her consequences for it. Given the right consequences, she'll learn to help herself. It's not a physical addiction, after all. Exactly. OP's husband is just fine with his mom walking in on them while they're being intimate, but God forbid OP tries to get advice anonymously online. Dude has some jacked up priorities. Easy fix for this: never be intimate with him again, that way mother-in-law can't ever walk in on it happening. Also solves the problem of bringing kids into this horrible situation. All of this is true. Plus he's absolutely going to rush a real key over to mommy dearest as soon as he can. Not the asshole 1. You never owed her a key. 2. She proved she isn't trustworthy. 3. She's the one who decided to bring it up in front of other people. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. 4. Who is childish? A kid 1/10 of her age would have been embarrassed throwing tantrums like that. 5. Your husband is an A for not 100% having your back. He should never allow his family to cause a single problem for you, and defiantly shouldn't expect you to be a doormat to his just no mom. Do not apologize. Demand an apology from your mother-in-law and this useless husband of yours. I recommend the sub Just Nominal, BTW. You can find relatable stories and helpful info there. The fact that OP's husband had no problem with his mom coming over unannounced and walking in on them being intimate should have been a major red flag to OP. That's the point where I would have started to truly question things. AITA, thank you for the rewards. True. And when it comes to sharing keys to the house, it's a 2 yes 1 no situation. If OP doesn't trust mother-in-law, that's it, no keys for her. What's the bet husband will just provide his mother with an actual key without discussing it with OP? OP changes the locks and husband doesn't get a key either, easy. And that the mother still wants to come over unannounced after seeing them having sex twice is so weird. This time they'll invite me in. 3rd time's the charm. Thanks. It's only 10 a.m. and already I wish I couldn't read. And /just no significant other BC. The husband is the biggest problem here. Notice he had no problems when mother-in-law thought she was going to be the one to call OP out. Mother-in-law lies, manipulated, exposed and humiliated herself lol. OP, please be using birth control and consider whether you want to live like this for life. After the update, she should definitely check that out. Not the asshole. If OP apologizes, it should be along the lines of "I'm sorry you can't be trusted to be given an emergency key to our house." Not the asshole. You did expose his mom, and rightfully so. She needed to be exposed. Your husband is out of his mind for enabling and encouraging his mom's demented behavior. Mother-in-law and husband are major Oz. I would technically say the mom exposed herself lol. I was gonna say this. Lol, she literally tried to shame OP for giving her a fake key in front of everyone. She outed herself. OP could have gone another route to shame mother-in-law. My favorite mother-in-law abuses the emergency key story is the one where every time mother-in-law uses it the entire family including in 10 more 33 and 7 more emergency key story is the one where every time mother-in-law uses it the entire family including the kids melodramatically freaked out because if she's using the key it must be an emergency. They made a huge spectacle for the neighbors a couple of times and mother-in-law stopped. Mother-in-law was trying to expose OP to the whole family, to shame and humiliate her. And it backfired. Don't start none, won't be none. This. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, but you also have a husband problem. Him thinking his own mother walking in on him having sex wasn't that big of a deal is a major triangular flag on post, triangular flag on post, triangular flag on post. I'm glad OP called out Jocasta and now it's time to ditch Oedipus. It's super concerning that he tried to confiscate her phone. Edit. Thank you so much for my first award greater than / less than. Yeah, I'm concerned after reading that. Yeah, I wonder if the husband ever broke both of his arms. r/unexpected Sophocles. If you like the video, hit that subscribe button for more content. I post every day and I'll see you next time with more stories.